Hi, this is John, and it occurred to me that over the years that I've been making these informative videos about my shamanic practice and my teachers, particularly the Caro Indians of Peru, I've never really emphasized, I think, just how interesting and unique the Caro are and that particular shamanic lineage. And so today I just thought I'd share with you a little bit of my perspective on that. And the way to think about it is, I think much of what we know in our modern culture about spiritual practices and powerful healing traditions and lineages is of those that are fairly recent, relatively recent. 2,000 years, 5,000 years. The Buddhist, the Christian, the Kabbalah, other Hindu and other spiritual traditions and healing modalities and traditions are fairly recent. And but we know that the cumulative effect of the kinds of prayers and rituals and ceremonies that build up over a period of a time from these particular traditions is very, very powerful. We understand that time is nonlinear and that a similar mantra or prayer or ritual done over and over again sort of builds in power and energy. My Qigong teacher, Master Zhang, for example, utilizing much of the Buddhist tradition in that particular form of healing, utilizes very specific words and prayers and hand gestures, mudras, if you will, that have been practiced, from teacher to student, again, thousands of years. And that those energetic signals get sent out, and the beings that are familiar with that, the bodhisattvas and the medicine buddhas and the old healers from those traditions, they recognize those signals, those prayers, those words, those symbols, the mudras, and they respond in a very powerful way, miraculous, truly. And I wanted to then emphasize how the Caro tradition, for example, that's been going on for 15,000 years at least. Imagine the same thing, the symbols, the images, the way in which they perform these shamanic rituals and practices has built up, and the initiation rites that are done energetically from teacher to student and so on is a part of that. And so we build upon this cumulative effect. And so, again, imagine now that these Caro, and we think of these indigenous cultures, for example, that go back in the shamanic traditions that would use stones in our mesa as opposed to a statue of Kuan Yin or Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad, these sort of images and symbols and prayers. This isn't, you think it's primitive, but it's not. It's very sophisticated. Now, much of these are what we would call primary cultures because they haven't changed very much since the beginning of humanity, perhaps. But the prayers, the symbols, the images, the techniques are actually quite sophisticated, and the cosmology, the way in which they connect to the various forces of nature and indeed other dimensions. So the Caro's cosmology includes multiple dimensions that we're working with. And it's that ability to access those dimensions in this very, very powerful way that produces amazing results in the work. And truly miraculous results on the level of the soul, the deepest level of our being, to be able to make changes, to reorganize that luminous architecture through those is just, really, again, some of the most powerful work you can find. And so I wanted you to think of it that way. You know, think of the shamanic traditions not as less sophisticated because the images and symbols perhaps aren't as modern, you know, in the sense that we use stones, very old stones that have been on the planet, you know, for 2 billion years, but are very powerful, very sophisticated nonetheless. And again, have built up over many thousands of years, now tens of thousands of years of practice, a kind of recognition that happens when we engage, when we use the mapping that had come before us of these various different medicines. So I wanted to share that with you in a little story that I heard about something that did happen with Master Zhang when she was at my teacher Alberto's house in Chile for the 2012 solstice. And apparently they had showed her an open mesa, showed her Alberto's mesa that was, you know, again from the Q'ero tradition, a series of 13 stones and other objects, powerful medicine objects. One of the stones was this beautifully shaped white donut stone, a shaped stone. And Master Zhang was looking and you know was I think Marcella was explaining to her that this is our altar. These are the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and so on, you know, equivalent in our tradition. And Master Zhang understood. So yes, I get that, you know. And so at some point during the meditation, Master Zhang went on to evoke her medicine with the various mantras and prayers that she would normally do. And at some point there was this explosion, which is very much a, you know, when in the Qigong tradition, and particularly Master Zhang, she manifests things out of thin air. Her team does, through her, manifest essentially mostly Chinese herbs and things that are useful for your health and so on, but objects as well. And I've experienced this in China several times in long past. But so she was, and with her of course, and she was doing the prayers, and there was this loud explosion because when something manifests instantly, it creates a sonic boom because the displacement of air is like a jet that reaches the speed of sound, and it creates that sonic boom. Same idea. So this thing showed up, and it turned out to be a stone that was laying in the middle of the floor, and they picked it up, and it was actually very hot because it was, you know, freshly manifested in that way. I think it produces a tremendous amount of heat. And they took that little round black stone over, and it fit perfectly in the center of the donut that was in Alberto's, the donut-shaped stone that was in Alberto's mesa. As if to say from her team that we are with you, we respect, and we understand, and we work with the same principles that our shamanic traditions do as well. So there is just these amazing opportunities working with these particular forms of medicine, these lineages that have been practiced for thousands, tens of thousands of years, that have accumulated an energy and a power behind the specific rituals and ceremonies that we do. So I just wanted people to know that when they're sitting with me in a session, they're not just sitting with John, the person you see, but I am a sort of the current representation in that moment of a lineage that has been unbroken for at least 15,000 years, saying very much the similar, doing similar techniques, and evoking the healing powers that are able to make changes in the level of the soul. And this happens again non-locally, outside of ordinary space and time. So it can happen during a session. It often happens several weeks before I even show up, after a person makes an appointment. It can happen in dreams. This is not uncommon. People will have spoke many times stories about me appearing to show up in their dreams doing this work. I've dreamt many times of my teacher Alberto and Don Manuel Quispe and several of his teachers that came before him. And again, I think it's less about the physical representation and more about a representation of this entire lineage that shows up in very amazing ways. People have had meditation experiences that have never heard of shamanism or me or the Caro, and have heard the voice come through of like what I would say would probably be Don Manuel Quispe. In fact, one person actually got his name. And saying things like, come and look up, Rasmussen, for example, look up my name to go get some work from me. So we're dealing with an amazingly eager and interactive medicine when we work with these traditions. So that's all I wanted to share with you today, and I'll look forward to sharing more in the future. If you wish to see working with the Caro in ceremony, there's several videos on my channel, the YouTube channel, and seeing the mesa itself and everything. I've done sessions and I've shown a bit of the mesa, so I would encourage you to take a look at that, see what you feel, see what you notice. You can engage with the Caro or myself by having an intention, for example, of wanting the healing, and most likely show up in your dreams or in some form or another and begin to do the work. So play with that a little bit, and know that that's why we're here. The whole purpose of the Caro holding their medicine the way they did at 18,000 feet in the Andes for 500 years, and the whole reason that people like myself and hundreds of thousands of others, shamans from all over the world, have come to them to be initiated, to learn their tradition, is because we are here to help people heal, to come into their power and freedom, to take it to a whole new level. In fact, the Caro have a saying that we're here not only to grow corn, but to grow gods. And so we're talking about, I've had other videos about the archangels and becoming archetypical people, impersonal people, becoming people of power in that way, and being able to help in a way that's sort of omniscient and omnipresent and outside of space and time and multiple dimensions. And I'm beginning to witness quite a bit of that. So that's what that means. I believe that's exactly what was meant by that quote, that we are creators, we are co-creators, and that it's time to step into that in our next evolution as humans. Will look a lot more like that. I think even our physical bodies will change. They talk about growing new bodies. And of course, right? We've known this. We've seen this in history. We have evolved. We've changed from Homo erectus to Homo habilis to Homo sapiens and so on. So of course, things will continue to change. So have that intention, and I'll look forward to hopefully working with you at some point. All right. Thank you very much. Feel free to check out my website at dreamingintobeing.com, and email me, Jon, Jon, at dreamingintobeing.com. Have a beautiful day. Take care.